Hi and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be finishing off our top 10 personal favourite episodes of Star Trek Next Generation. Hopefully you'll have watched part 1 already. If not, there'll be a link to it down below. So without further ado, let's get it going. So what is your number 5?
The Pegasus.
I love the Pegasus. This almost made my list as well.
Oh, did it? Oh,
it did.
It could have been.
It did. Yeah. Normally, I don't like the ones where Starfleet's doing shady stuff, but this particular one, I liked. I thought they were they built up the justification as to why quite well, even if they weren't on the right path.
And late in the run as well, season 7.
Season 7,
12.
One of the best episodes of that season.
Yeah,
I think.
A bit of Riker's past as well comes out, and obviously bearing in mind this Picard-Riker relationship is now built up to the 7th season.
Yes.
They're sort of at loggerheads for a bit of the episode where he has to think of where his loyalties lie. Yeah. It's his old captain versus his new captain. Also did spin off one of the worst and hated episodes of Star Trek ever.
Did it? You have to remind me.
These are the Voyages.
Yes, of course it does.
Enterprise finale
this, doesn't it?
Is where that's
oh
set.
God,
So
no, I'd forgotten that episode existed.
Sometimes people knock it down for that, and I'm like, on its own merits.
I'd actually cast that episode from my memory entirely because I've always got the image of the ship halfway through. Is it through an asteroid or a moon?
Yeah,
or
it's
something?
like phase cloaked into that.
Yeah, that image really stuck with me. That's
the Oberth class, which never has a very good time. It's always destroyed or smashed or
cursed ship. It's the Marie Celeste of Starship. My number 5 is a bit of a super obvious one. It's probably going to be on your list at a later point, but it's going to be The Best of Both Worlds.
Right, okay.
Specifically part 1, if I had to be specific. I love the tension, the build-up. The payoff, probably could have been better. I feel like the resolution came a little bit out of nowhere. Yeah, the first part, I like the building of tension. I like that it's picked up threads from episodes like The Neutral Zone and other things all along.
Earlier on in the season.
Obviously, it's got probably the greatest cliffhanger of all time. I think you could hear a collective nation's jaws hit the floor when that moment happened, right at the end.
A whole year.
For a whole year. And I think that episode as well, of course, is the one. One, it's the one that everyone remembers, and 2, I think it's the one that solidified Next Generation as event television that it had now not necessarily surpassed, but it was equal to the original series in stature. They could be recognised separate but equal footing.
Didn't the episode win Emmys as well?
I think it did.
It did, yeah. And I think that whole thing, at the time, I could be misremembering. I've watched so many interviews, and wasn't there a thing that Patrick Stewart might not be returning?
Yes.
So
they thought that there's this whole thing he might not. He might not come back at all. Yeah, because he wasn't too keen, but then he started to come round to it. But just a great episode. But yeah, obvious choice, but Best of Both Worlds for me. Had to be in there.
That's fair enough.
Yeah. So number 4
is Gambit. Part 1 and 2, specifically more part 2.
Yeah.
Which is season 7 episodes.
I was going to say, you're loving season 7.
Episodes 4 and 5.
This is unusual. I don't hear much of this.
No.
It's another one that puts Picard out of his comfort zone.
It's like the shady part of it all, and
which they did better than in Picard Series 1, where he was the French thing. Packed.
Oh yes, the eye patch
where he's trying to. I thought, did they not remember? He blended in quite well with criminals once. I don't know why he's going on here.
That whole episode as well, and the fact that it's not focused around the Enterprise.
No,
you spend a lot of time on the ship and all these other characters. I mean, the characters that are in it as well are developed quite well in a short space of time. There's a lot of fun shots, obviously, when the Enterprise gets fired on by the ship and. Is it right? One of them gets shot and killed, and it's not. They've been beamed. I think I'm going to have to go and take your list and rewatch them all because they're all ones that it is good. These are all episodes I haven't watched. They're not in my rotation list all the time, so I'm not as familiar with them as I probably should be. So I'm actually feeling like I need to watch because Gambit is probably the 2 other than Birthright. I think Gambit's the 2-part I've seen the least. So there we go,
I think I've only ever seen it twice, and that includes when it broadcast.
Yeah, and I think
so. Yeah,
the other thing is, like the captain, I can't think of his name now. The captain of the ship that Picard's on, obviously can pretty much kill them whenever he wants.
Yeah,
and there is a lot of like jeopardy there for Picard if he messes up.
Yeah.
And then obviously again, Riker's acting of like them two like being at loggerheads.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just all great. Yeah.
I'm definitely have to watch that one again.
Yeah.
So my number 4 is another maybe slightly obvious one, but I'm going with Chain of Command.
Oh, okay.
Specifically part 2 this time rather than part 1. The scenes with David Warner and Patrick Stewart are just electric. They are just fantastic. And to see Picard, of all people, broken essentially, to see him in such a state was shocking.
He's everybody's hero.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Even though he hates children, as a child, you kind of see him as a sort of a father figure, don't you? Yeah. A moral compass and all those kind of things. So again, it's another one that I saw when it was broadcast. So I was quite young, and this one just shook me to my core. I didn't have a clue what I was watching, and David Warner.
Well, two acting greats playing off against each other. I mean, they must have had a blast on set. I think too.
Well, again, and it's so small scale. It's just generally 2 guys in a room. There's actually on an offshoot. There's a movie that no one else has really heard of. It's based on a stage play called Closetland, and really, really similar. I think it's like it's Alan Rickman and Madeleine Stowe. It's very, very similar setup and well worth watching on an offshoot.
And gave us our.
It gave us our ratings
when we do episodes.
There are 4 lights.
Yeah. 4, not 5. Yeah.
4, not 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, this episode is stunning. I think this one really, really holds up amongst the best of it. Even now, even when Star Trek now tries to be dark and gritty and all the rest of it,
nothing.
I still don't think it gets as close as this one. I really, really don't. This one was just so well done. So yeah, definitely had to be in my list. So,
like I say, really good choice.
You're number 3.
I'm going with Timescape.
I love Timescape. Good
Season
choice.
6, episode 25.
Almost made my list as well.
That whole frozen in time.
Yeah.
It's just, again, it's just like...
This and Time
sci-fi.
Squared almost went into mine.
It's just good sci-fi again as well, with the whole situation of it. And
there's the mystery of how they got to that point. Because it's someone being shot at the same time and it's frozen.
Dr. Crusher's being shot. There's a warp core breaching process.
That's right, yeah. So it's the stakes are already high.
Yeah, they know if this carries on, then it's all gone. There's obviously that moment where Picard goes a bit mad and he draws the smiley face in the water.
Yes, I love that part.
I always remember that as such an iconic moment.
Yeah.
And obviously, he puts his hand and he gets he ages his hand.
That's right. Yes. That part scared me as a kid.
Yeah. I mean, that set up to where they find the Enterprise and they're like, oh, the ship's not where it should be.
Yes.
And then Troy sort of gasps as she looks out the window and sees it being, to them it looks like the Romulans are attacking. But
yeah, it does. I like the fact that it's a mystery one, isn't it? And I like the ones where they're slowly peeling off the layers of the mystery until you find out what's actually going on. It isn't quite what you thought it was to start with. And it's executed really well in that one.
Yeah, and like I said, the whole... And obviously at one point it fast forward through time.
Yes.
The Enterprise blows up and it sort of plays out and then it flashes back to the beginning again and it's like... Sort of got that bit of a cause and effect moment.
Yeah, it does. That one almost made my list as well. It was in my top 15. That one would have been in there. So yeah. For my number 3, I am going with Identity Crisis.
Oh, okay.
This episode scared the living crap out of me as a kid. The part in the holodeck where they're reconstructing the photograph, the scene, and there's the extra shadow. I don't know, the filming of it, the music, all of it. Literally, I had a cold shiver go straight down my spine at that moment. And to this day, when I watch it, that part, even now, I still get a little bit of a latent memory from first time I watched it. The whole concept of it freaked me. Even now, it kind of slightly freaks me out that Geordie's the only one that really kind of doesn't transform into this completely new life form, and all the other Starfleet officers that went missing, they all did, and now they're kind of existing as these kind of primitive. I find the whole thing kind of chilling to a degree, but yeah, just and the visual look as well of them in the UV with the
that's like a bright blue.
Really good creature design by I'm guessing it was Michael Westmore. But yeah, the episode just, and again, it's another mystery. It's in there for that, predominantly for that moment, which I think a few Trekkies find that bit creepy, but yeah, that part freaked me out, and I love it for it. As a horror fan now, I think that was executed so well, because I watch horror movies like they're going out of fashion, and most of them don't even touch me at all in scariness.
Oh no, these days no.
That moment in that episode, and I almost put Night Terrors in for the bit where all the corpses sit up, because that scared the hell out of me as well. Again, it's just, I think that was a split cut, but in this one, I just like the gradual, just creeping, the menace. I don't know, there's something about it as they do more and more with the scene, it just starts to feel more and more wrong. Identity Crisis is definitely my number 3. It was almost number 2, so that's how much I love that one. So yeah. So what is your number 2 on the subject of number 2s? Number 2,
Future Imperfect.
Yes.
Season 4, episode 8.
Yeah, we get Tomalak back.
Yes,
don't we? Andreas Katsoulis, who's fantastic. He was great in Babylon 5, and he's great in Next Generation as well. Another tale of, it's almost a what if, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And obviously,
again, flashing forward to Riker's future,
and not what you expect when they actually get the resolution of the story of, like, he's got a son, and he wakes up and he's got this memory loss that he doesn't remember. Which
he also looks startlingly similar to how he looked in Picard Series 3.
Do you think?
I thought he did, yeah. I didn't think he looked too different.
I think he looks better in Picard.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
But I didn't think that. I didn't think they were that far off. I mean, he looked great in Picard Series 3, though. It's another one that I think that they've copied a few times, and it has the benefit of being the first one to do that template, because every time they copied it, it wasn't anywhere near as good. I think Voyager's tried to do something similar in a couple of episodes. And it never worked as good, because every time you'd already see, if you'd seen Future Imperfect, you'd sit there and go, "This is Future Imperfect again, isn't it?" Really, something that New Trek does a bit, and I immediately go, "It's this episode." You just copy it. I know what the end's going to be. So, but you always go back to that first one. And Future Imperfect was again, and that was another one that was almost made my list. So I'm so impressed neither of us have crossed over at all. I really expect there to be crossover.
No, I don't think.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see.
But we might have made a good list of 20 altogether then for people.
Might have done.
Yeah.
Might have done, yeah. So, but my number 2, it's another 2-parter. So I'll probably have to go, probably part 1 maybe. I don't know. They're both pretty good. Time's Arrow.
Yes.
I really, really like Time's Arrow. The opening, the image of Data's head. That they find in an in like a dig in a cave. That one stuck with me straight away. I love the concept that they have to go back in time, and eventually it's the head from the past that they reattach to him.
Yeah, it's all back to front.
And they leave his current head where there, it needs to be, so that it goes all the way back round. The aliens are a little bit weak and undefined. The whole snake thing, that could have done with a bit more. I love them incorporating Guinan into it, that she was on Earth at that point in time. It confused a lot of people with Picard Series 2, that did. The setting, again, it's one where they all got to wear different costumes, they were having a good time. The production value of it also. I loved Mark Twain in it. I thought he was great too.
Great addition to that.
And again, there was another one that was kind of a bit of a romp, but I like the fact it was a romp in time. I like the fact I love things that are circular with time, particularly with time travel, where it's something from the past is what is influencing what's in the future, and vice versa. And the whole thing is. I like things that are in a loop. Yeah. Where a paradox. Some things. I don't know if this one isn't necessarily a paradox, or is it? Could be. Where things there's no beginning or an end, but it's just always in a constant cycle that it will always keep going that way through in time, over and over and over. I love that kind of concept. Yeah, Time's Arrow, absolutely love that one. Great. So, we're here. This is number 1. This is what you think is your favourite episode of Star Trek Next Generation, which is no small thing.
It isn't, and some people might find this controversial, some people might find it
I'm
good.
Probably going to find it controversial. I'm going to slap you. Elbow him in the face if it's something stupid.
It's a season 4 episode, so...
Oh, it's not Code of Honour then?
No, that will never be on. I think if we do a worst episodes, I think we can guarantee that will be number 1 of the worst ever episodes of TNG.
It'd be, probably. Yeah.
So,
Shades of Grey?
That might be number 2. Padawan is just 2.
Well, you'd skip both of them, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Okay, so without further ado, drum roll. Number 1
is Drumhead.
Okay, yes.
Season 4, episode 21.
Is that Courtroom
yes.
1? Yes. That's the McCarthy witch.
A bit similar to that, yes.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Simon Tarsus is the name of the officer in it that they sort of. He's got Romulan ancestry,
That's
so
right,
automatically there's explosion on the
automatically
Enterprise.
assume it's him, yeah.
I know people always go measure a man for courtroom drama in Star Trek. To me, in this episode, the acting's on point.
Yeah.
The story of the whole mystery, and there's a lot of mistrust thrown into it, like Worf's used at one point, and various bits and pieces.
There's lots of stuff about prejudice in this one, isn't
Card put on trial at one point by her, as if to say, and I'm like, she really is out just to get someone, and
she wants blood, doesn't she?
Yeah, and I love the resolution of it all, where Picard takes her on, and he said, "There's some words I was taught as a boy," and he uses her father's words against her, and she has just a massive explosion. Of rage against him, and it's sort of like, well, you've just proved my point of. Yeah. And again, it's taken a concept that's not sci-fi. Yeah. And actually put it into there. And I could watch the episode over and over again.
Well, Strange New Worlds did something similar this season with Ad Astra. Yeah. Wasn't quite as good as this, I don't think. No. I think the Drumhead is better, but it just shows that formula works and continues to work in Trek. I think it's a superb choice, and again, I think I kind of agree, actually, yeah. Measure of Man is more... It's about data, so I think it's got more of a personal stake to it. But for the same similar kind of thing, I do think the Drumhead is better. Is better. Yeah. Although I do like in Measure of Man the fact they have Riker as prosecution. That was a good concept. But yeah, Drumhead is more... Well, they're both just as powerful, I think, just on different subjects, aren't they? But similar. Yeah, good choice. Serious choice. Yeah. Very nice. So my number 1, having said about series getting better as they go on, is actually from series 2. Oh. Going right back. And my number 1's actually going to be Q-Who.
That was going to be my guess. That was actually going to be my guess.
It's
I thought
Q-Who.
Season 2. I thought,
It's probably the episode I've watched the most. Again, it's a Q one. I do like Q. We also have Q and the Borg, who are obviously introduced in this episode, and I don't think they've ever been as scary as they were in this first one.
This big ominous
cube. Exactly. The first time you see it, you're like, wow, I've never seen a ship look like that before. There's just so many things going on in it. But yeah, the whole concept of Q trying to teach them a lesson in their arrogance, essentially, and they are being arrogant in it, and they pay a heavy price for that arrogance.
Starfleet's always won, seized the day and won, but in this episode, they technically don't win. No. Picard has to beg Q and say, I need you.
This is it up until probably All Good Things. It's probably the last time that Q was a real threat as well.
Yeah.
He was very
menacing in that episode.
Really menacing in this one, and was less used for jokes. So it appears, and you kind of think it's going to be a funny one, and it isn't.
Q being scared of Guinan.
I was about to say this, the fact that they looped it into Guinan, and Guinan recognises the Borg, and the Borg are responsible for Guinan's people being spread all across the galaxy. I love that. I'd love to know more about all this.
That's what I mean.
This thing was all about.
Never touched on again.
No. But again, it's another image that I always got about images that stick with me. It'll always be that part where it cuts the circular section out of the ship.
Pulled out,
again, such a weird way of doing things. It doesn't just shoot and blow up, and you can see the decks and everything as it's pulling them out. And obviously, there are people in there that are just going to be sucked out into space and all the rest of it. And obviously, they changed the Borg to say they wanted to assimilate and all the other stuff later on. But at this point, that's not in their agenda at all, and they are just unknowing and alien and almost omnipotent and scary. This first appearance of them absolutely knocked it out of the park. And of course they had to come back after this, but for me they were never as good as they were in this first episode with them. Everything about this one I really like, and that's why it's my number 1. So hopefully you've enjoyed this, and you'll be ranting in the comments section down below about how silly we are for our choices. We hope. We'd love to hear what your 10 favourite are. And again, that's the important part. Not what you think are the best, because obviously if I was going to say the best, we'd have stuff like Light and things like that in here, but we're not. We're talking about favourites, ones that mean a lot to you. So if you could drop yours down below. I really want to know what everyone else's are, because I'm really curious, because yours have completely surprised me as well. So, and everyone's personal to every other person as well, which I really like. Everyone's always got a story to go with why,
So, yeah, I mean,
why certain ones are their favourites. So I would love to hear those. And hopefully we will see you all soon for our next video. That'll be banging.
Yeah.
So, yeah. See you soon.
Long and prosper.
Bye. Without further ado, Without further ado.
Drumhead.
Okay, yes.
Season 4, episode 21.
That had a great alien. No, I'm thinking of the wrong episode.
I was like, have I got the right episode? I was thinking, huh?
I'm thinking of Tin Man. What the fuck am I doing?